Blessings, beloved. I just want to make literally just a couple of comments about Uranus being stationary at the moment. So, the stationary point is extremely powerful, and it's really a portal that's only active for a couple of days, right? But that couple of days can be really crucial for many of us. So when a planet stops, so I've just pointed out the S lining up with Uranus, for instance, because that is telling us it's stationary. And in this case, it happens to be moving stationary retrograde. So first thing I want to kind of point there actually is that Uranus moving stationary retrograde is its most ideal position. It couldn't be more perfect. You God, I can think of a few comments that, yeah, okay. So it's perfect because the symbolism of a planet being retrograde, specifically from the evolutionary perspective, EA, evolutionary astrology, when a planet is retrograde, it operates more from that outside of the consensus reality. Okay, so when a planet is going retrograde, it enables us to tap into, integrate, connect to, understand more deeply, more further, deeper aspects that do not rely upon and are not codependent upon the information we are receiving from that external world, from those systems, from those people, from that state, that city, that person, etc. When a planet goes retrograde, it enables us to find, seek, discover, understand, understand, integrate our own sense of things, of whatever that planet symbolizes. I'm not really sure why this is sorry, just some background noise there. So that's the first point to really understand about retrograde planets, right? So if that is the case, which indeed I believe it is, based on not just what I've read, but based on personal experience over 25 years of observing astrology by observation and correlation, Uranus going retrograde is natural and perfect position because retrograde implies very much what Uranus is about, as I just described. So Uranus going retrograde is fantastic, actually. It's not necessarily comfortable for every single man or woman on the planet, but it is perfect symbolism, perfect opportunity to step into what Uranus is all about, which is finding what is integral and authentic to you. Doesn't matter what anybody else says, what the system says, what that system says, what that person thinks, how that person judges, how that person doesn't judge, whatever the hell it may be. Okay, it really doesn't matter. I just want to remove some background noise here, so just bear with me while I do that. It does not matter what the exterior that is being presented perceives of you, your life, and who you are. It actually doesn't matter. It may appear as though it does based in certain predicaments and circumstances that place you in a position where you feel that you need to fight for yourself, represent yourself, etc. But in any case, no one out there fucking knows who the fuck you are, really, who you really are at that deep core soul level, or what you are going through. Only you do, and the divine source creation to all things. I say that because it is important, because we constantly live in a world, a reality, in this 3D Saturn stream of things where we are, where there's prejudice taking place, injustices, inequalities, the pressure to conform to the status quo, etc. And I'm very passionate about these matters because I am, number one, and because I have got a lot of strong Aquarius in my chart, strong Uranus in my chart. I've never ever ever felt that I fit into how can I put it, a little system that defines me and tells me who and what I am and what I should or should not be. I've never ever conformed to that system, and I never will. And even if that means facing situations where I may have to defend myself, fight for myself, and so forth, and in the end appear as though a certain battle or challenge that I was confronted with appears to have gone in a direction that I may not have wanted, so to speak, right? Appears to have gone in a direction where the systems are more in favor, which is, a very fucking typical situation in a Saturn world. So that's just the way it goes, right? You roll with the punches, you dance to the tune, and more importantly, you just continue to be true and authentic to your fucking self, which is what Uranus is about. So Uranus being stationary at the moment for a couple of days, if it is activating personal planets in your chart, if it is activating the angles in your chart. Now, the angles in your chart, which are these arrows that I've drawn towards. Okay, so the ascendant, okay, descendant, IC, MC, the four angles of the chart, the cross of matter, the energy that underpins your whole fucking existence. Very important points in the chart are basically 100% accurate time dependent. So you may think that you've got 13 degrees of Aquarius as your ascendant, as this chart is showing right here, right now. And if your time of birth is incorrect, planets moving over that ascendant will obviously be, the timing will be all screwed up. So that's the point of getting your time of birth correct, whether that's trying to ascertain that yourself or whether that's having your chart rectified by somebody else. It's up to you. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you have your time of birth accurate, rectified. Don't assume because the hospital record on your birth certificate says 1:45 a.m. that you were born 1:45 a.m. It's not necessarily the case. In fact, it's probably 100% not the case. Now, some people might flinch their eyes about that, but I don't really care because I've got 25 years experience in what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. Time of birth is 100% the most crucial thing to establish, first of all, right? And then everything else kind of swings around that, right? I mean, sure, you might not have a time of birth, and I appreciate that and respect that because there'll be some people that literally just have no time of birth, and that's fine. You can still work very powerfully with astrology. There's still a lot you can understand and learn, even timing-wise, transit-wise, forecast-wise, etc. There's still a lot you can work with on that level. There's no question about that. But the time of birth is going to nail some things, particularly with primary directions, that you will not get without an accurate time of birth. Okay, so I've said enough about that for now. I've done a couple of videos on rectifications and so forth. So if you want to understand more about that and you're curious, you want to know more about that, and you're questioning why she's saying that, why is that such a big deal? The hospital birth certificate said I was born at 1:45 a.m. So it can't be wrong. A fucking oath it can be wrong, and it often is. Okay, so and just to elaborate on that so people don't think that I I'm just voicing this as a personal opinion because it's far from a personal opinion. It's based on experience. Hospital time is frequently wrong for various reasons, and I'll give you a couple of examples. The clock on the wall was out by a few minutes, right? Basic example. The birth was not documented for about half an hour later, or was documented incorrectly by the doctor or the nurse because just due to the circumstances, stress, pressure, intensity. People are not always very, competent with details, notes, points. When a doctor or a nurse notes a time, they're not astrologers, so they're not thinking to myself, oh my god, I've got to, what is the exact time this birth took place? What is the exact time? They're not thinking like that. Astrologers think like that. Okay. Furthermore, there's soul time as well. In other words, your birth chart can kick off before you were physically born. Just as you were ready to be born, as it were. I'm not talking about being in the womb for the first 6 months or something like that. That's something separate altogether. Then you've got, prenatal eclipses and prenatal this and prenatal that and blah, blah, blah. That's a whole separate thing. Talking about the time of birth. Anyway, I've got a video called Soul Time. So just watch that if you want to know more, because I've lost time here in what I was trying to focus on. But I mentioned that because, Uranus turning stationary, right, ready to move retrograde, if it's hitting off, an angle in your chart, that's a really, really significant thing. And if your time of birth is not correct, then that's going to be an issue because you're not going to have the timing right. You might think that Uranus is on your ascendant, or it's on your MC, or your descendant, or your IC, and you're thinking, okay, Uranus is about to go stationary retrograde, hitting off one of those angles of mine, the angles in the birth chart. So this is a really big deal in my life. This is a really important time relative to wherever it is. So if it's the midheaven, it's clearly going to speak to your career, your vocation, your life path, direction, your social status, your family. Family, yes, family. Because the 10th and the 4th house both correspond to family in different ways. So it is important to have the right time of birth. So I'll just wrap it up here. When Uranus is stationary retrograde, it is in a portal that is extremely potent. Very sudden things can occur, things that are not necessarily comfortable, as I was saying before. Things that might shock you, things that might have been unexpected, things that you were plugged into in some kind of way. You kind of had a sense about things as well. It could be that too, right? Just depends on the individual, the circumstances, and so forth. But just be prepared for some sudden unexpected waves of electricity to shock your little foundation of wherever you are standing at the moment. That's how it's going to come through if it impacts you. And I'm speaking about this right now because if that does come through in that way, what I want to say is that don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Uranus is the ultimate liberator, and it's not going to take you through a comfortable pathway of liberating you and waking you up and enabling you to be true to yourself. To be true to yourself and authentic in your path, you're going to fucking rock some boats. You're going to piss some people off. You're going to create some waves. That's Uranus. If you don't want to piss anybody off and you don't want to rock any waves and you don't want to be true to yourself, then you just might as well stay with Saturn and comply and conform and live by all the rules that are dictated by a patriarchal society. And then you will live a false existence, in my opinion. Because why? Because you are living in a straitjacket. Are you being true to yourself when you're living like that? Or are you just basically, meeting the status quo requirements? There are some distinctions here, right? So, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but anyway, just very simply put, with Uranus being stationary retrograde, it will rock some foundations. It will bring some waves in. And it's up to you whether you want to, take that wave of being true to yourself, or just, I don't know, do the Saturn thing, just no, I couldn't possibly do that. No, I've that's what was told to me. That's what was decided. That's what was said. Blah blah blah. Well, hello. Don't you have your own self to think for? Do you not have your own mind, your own brain, your own ability to investigate, explore, research, learn, understand? There's so much more beyond the scope of Saturn, and that's where Uranus brings you that treasure, that gift of true, authentic seeking, to remember who the fuck you are, which is infinite, which is not this constricted, limited, physical little being confined in this Saturn world that imprisons and enslaves people, brings in the enslavement mentality, which it has done for fucking 6,000 years. So, you want to work with Uranus, stationary retrograde, that's the zone you go into. You go into, who the fuck am I? How true am I being to myself? How authentic am I being in my path? Am I just living on that false fucking surface level just to please everybody else around me and appear to do the right thing so that I can get the respect and validation and appreciation from that external world? Hey, if that's you, so be it. Good luck to you. What's the expression? Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. I'll leave it there. This may piss some people off, and I don't really care. That's the mood I'm in. That's Uranus. I'll be back to talk about Uranus a lot more, but I'll be back to talk about the new moon in Virgo. Much love, and stay true to yourself. Love and blessings.